And welcome back. I'm Gazbot, and this is the Horror Production Report update number 22. And we're back. Wait, what is the horror rate for? Who am I? Let's do a quick reset for people that are just joining us, or for people that have bad memories. My name is Gazbot. I am an illustrator. I am an animator. I'm a caricaturist. I am a freelance, self-employed, however you want to describe it, artist. I've been working as an artist full-time for years. I have a degree from SVA in New York in illustration and animation, but I have been working more or less self-employed for 6 years. Previous to that, I was still making a living in art, working for studios and things. But working on other people's things, working on animation for a computer company launching a new product, working on a album cover for somebody's band, working on t-shirt designs for somebody's fashion line, working on caricatures for somebody's birthday party, etc. Now, I still do that a bit, but I've cut back in an effort this last year. I did Inktober last year, that's 2014. Right after that, I found out about the 100 Days of Making Comics, started by Kevin Cross. That is where you take your professional work, put it aside. You take your life problems, you put it aside. You take your family stuff, you put it aside. You put everything aside for 30 minutes a day to work on your own personal comic project. Now, some people do other things besides comics, but this is 100 Days of Making Comics, or it was, and that's what I did. So for 100 days, I worked on my comic, which ended up becoming the Horror A4. I had a few different ideas. That's the one I zeroed in on, and that was almost a year ago now. I have to check the exact dates from when I started that to now. And where I've come from then to now is I finished the 100 days, and then I've been doing these updates on average every 2 weeks. I do some process videos and some toy videos and a few other things, but these horror production reports are the direct descendants of the 100 Days of Making Comics. And instead of doing 30 minutes a day, I do as much as I can whenever I can. And my goal is to, my goal shift, that's the other thing, is like my goal was to have a 40-page comic done. And then it was like, oh, it's 5 issues, a series of, comics that are like 25 pages long each-ish, and then it was, well, I want to have it done by the end of the 100 days. And then I'm like, that's crazy. I'll never have it done that fast. So now we are near the end of November. And what I'd like to have done is by January have all the artwork done for the book. The writing is done for all 5 issues. The writing is done for this issue that I'm working on currently, which is issue 1. And I have the breakdowns and rough pencils for the whole issue. I'm working on inks and gray tones. It's a black and white comic. By January, I want to have all the art done, all the lettering done, so that I can worry about publishing and promoting, so that I'll get a Kickstarter going. I'll put it up at various sites, and then come March, when my first show is, next year I'm going to do a lot of conventions and be pushing the heck out of this book, The Horror A4, which is my book. Now, what is that about? Well, I've written it, I've created it, I'm drawing it. It is is it the future? Is it another world? It's sort of vaguely a little bit in the future, possibly on another world, but it's a world very similar to ours, it's a time very similar to ours, just a bit in the future. The main difference is that in the past of this world, this reality, about 100 years ago, or up till about 100 years ago, there were giant monsters, Godzilla-type monsters, kaiju as they're called, or daikaiju, giant monsters, and there were also kyodai, which is giant heroes, and it was this world of super fantastic stuff, but it has sort of passed into legend. These monsters have disappeared, these heroes have disappeared, it's just sort of been, dead and whatever. And what happens is, peace settles, and then a monster shows up for the first time in 100 years. And it sort of fallen into legend where some people didn't even believe it ever really happened. But now you can't deny, here's this monster, which the military designates Alpha Threat Level 4, but the populace calls the Horror. Hence, the Horror A4. And so this first issue introduces him and our other characters, including the main character Boots, who's our main human character, and hijinks ensue from there. So now we're more than halfway done with the inks of this first issue, and this is a chronicling of the progress made on this journey, with a lot of personal stuff thrown in. You'll see a lot of like, here's my family, here's my cat, here's my toys, but primarily it's about art, and in that art it's primarily about my personal comic, The Horror A4, which I said many times now. So that's sort of the reset of if you're joining. There's a good jumping in point. If you're joining us, what's going on, that's what's going on. And then from this point to the end, you're just going to see sort of updates every couple days, and I'll show you a little bit of art along the way and let you know what's going on. So, with that said, let's head on in to the first update. Here! All right, back in business, back on horror time. It is Thursday. Morning. It is 9 in the morning. I'm already out of the house, which is unusual for me to be out, let alone be up, let alone be out, as I say. I just woke up, so my speech centers are somewhat jumbled. Q is going to work, but she had to watch some online video thing first, so she's going in a little bit later. I am borrowing her car, which is good since my car, as we know, has been stolen. Recovered, yes. Totaled. Yes, so hopefully a check coming my way, but now I once again have no car. But there was no milk in the house because I wasn't here to buy milk, because I'm the milkman. So I am going out to buy pizza bagels. Still Thursday. What I'm doing now is running around trying to find heavy cardstock index type paper, 11 by 17 white, to make some more Green Ranger prints. Because the UPS which I go to, which has a good price, keeps running out of the paper. Even when I call ahead, they don't have it. They say they run out, but I think they just don't stock it. So they suggested I could bring my own and pay for regular paper color copy, so it'll be a little less, so it'll work out. But I just went to Staples and I went to Office Depot, and neither of them have it. So now I'm going to a place called Kelly Paper. We'll hope that works out. So I got 100 prints made at UPS using my own cardstock that I bought at this place called Kelly Paper, which is a supply store. And I needed to, well, I didn't need to, but it was suggested and I agreed that I put some information on the back of these prints. I know my voice is a little harsh. I know my voice is a bit hoarse, forgive me. But it was suggested that I either handwrite it, which would take forever because I have 100 of them, and also my handwriting is not that great and the ink might smear, or use a stamp, which is a good idea, except I don't have a stamp. So I thought I'd be smart and get stickers. So I modified my business card and just put my website and my Instagram on the bottom. And these are cool stickers, they're clear. Let me show you. I applied it to the paper here, and you can't even really see the border, and it's almost completely smooth flat, because they are clear. If I hold this up to the light, you can see right through it. The bad side is that it's impossible to get these off the sheet. Now, they're not perforated and pre-cut. I'm just using scissors. I was going to use, I have a slicer, like a paper cutter, and I was going to take the whole sheets and cut them that way, but they stick together so they won't line up, so that's an impossibility. So I'm cutting them individually with the scissor, and each one I'm doing that thing where I stick my fingernail in the side, and I actually need to trim my fingernails. It's kind of gross, but it's helping, but it's taking me a couple minutes to cut out and peel each one off and put it on. So I was sort of excited at first to find these clear stickers, but I don't recommend them unless you have a better way of using them than I do, because it is taking me forever. Nevertheless, I persevere. What's going on now, you ask? Well, no, you didn't. But what is going on is it is Friday. Tomorrow I have CampbellCon. I'm sort of ready for that. I mean, I'm ready in the sense that everything's together. I got my prints, but I haven't actually laid everything out. And it's only a one-day show, so it's not going to be that big a deal, hopefully. One of the bummers about tomorrow is that the load-in is at 8:15. The show starts at 10. You can't do it tonight. You can't get there earlier. So it's, you know, kind of the situation which I've been in a lot, where I quick load in and then people are showing up. But usually that's because I'm being lazy or running late. Tomorrow, everybody will be in that situation. But anyway, that's not what I'm here to talk about today. That's what I'll be talking about likely tomorrow. I am working on the same thing I was working on yesterday, sort of. I had a print, a Green Ranger Dragon Zord print was ordered. A woman wanted to make sure she would have it for a comic convention, not this weekend, but next weekend. So I said, yeah, if you order it now. So I got it all set up and sent it out in the morning mail. I don't have a car, so I rode my bike, because I care about my customers. And even though if I send it later in the day or tomorrow, she'd probably still get it, I wanted to make sure she'd get it for her show. But I'm going to have to go back to the post office because I have a bunch of prints to send out for my other big project, which I was putting the stickers on, and I have to finish putting those stickers on. Got more of these stupid clear stickers to cut out and put on. I'm in the living room now, which I'm usually not in, but I'm going to put something on TV like Seinfeld or some sort of show I don't need to watch, and just spend probably an hour or more putting these stupid stickers on, then package it all up and send it off. And it'll probably be late afternoon by that time, and I still have to clean the house. I don't foresee any horror getting done today. Like I said, I'm not beating myself up about it. I think this weekend's gonna be crazy. I got the show, the convention, and then we're going to see some drag show. Q's really into RuPaul's Drag Race, and a lot of those people are doing shows in our area in the next month or two for some reason, so we're going to see one Sunday. So my weekend's kind of shot as well. But next week, Monday, I have no pressing client work, and I plan on hitting it hard. I'm going to try to reboot everything. I'm going to be working on the horror and, try to get some more exercise again, because I just stuffed myself on vacation. Just try to really get back in the swing of all the positive, things I need to do. And again, I'm not beating myself up too much because I've been on a good streak, and, this vacation kind of messed me up, but it's a vacation. So what are you going to do? But now I'm off to cut and stick while I watch something here. Okay. Well, I thought I was done for today, Friday, but our adventure continues. As you can see, there is blue sky behind me, but it is a dark blue, a vicious nighttime blue that is blocking out the sun and favoring the moon. Yeah, it's getting close to dinner time, and I am walking to Red Robin to meet Q after work so that I get a little more exercise and I can meet her earlier instead of her picking me up, bringing me over there, yada, yada. Finished up the print project, like I said, and then I've just been cleaning up the house, and I actually just started finishing up the final editing for the first of a few videos I gotta put up that I'm behind on. It's weird because I'm talking about this now, like I've just been back from my trip for a day or two, but the next video you guys will see is gonna be before I left for my trip, then the video on my trip, and that's not even counting if I do a toy shots or something in between. So hopefully I'll get these up in rapid succession, so what I'm saying now will not be as far out of date as some of the other things are. However, I'm walking onto the street now. Let me pause. While I haven't been working on the horror, I did get a chance to finally, as I talked about in my trip video, reread all the scripts for the 5 issues of the whole story. And, you know, I pretty much knew what was going on in this issue because I wrote all of them, I revised all of them, I had people look at them, then I revised again, and then I focused on issue 1. And I, you know, have done some lettering for it and everything else. And so I pretty much know it backwards and forwards. And I anticipated in some of the next issues that there were going to be things, not huge changing the whole story things, but scenes that I wanted to cut or, you know, things I wanted to inject, because I just remember there being some boring parts or some parts that didn't make sense. And either I've already addressed those things in some of my other revisions and just forgot, or I was being harder on myself than I needed to be, because I was pretty happy with what I read, which is weird. I know I'm pretty negative about my own art and things like that, but when I read it, I was like, this is good. And I read the second issue and the third issue. The second issue I feel like has no, well, I don't want to say flaws, but nothing I need to correct. There's obviously flaws in everything, but not the kind I can perceive, not the kind that are bothering me. And it works with issue 1, and it works as a standalone, it works going into issue 3. Because that's another thing I was concerned is that they might not, it might make sense in the moment, but then when you read the whole story, it wouldn't add up or something. But they do seem to be working together that way. So I'm happy about that. And there were a few like minor corrections I'll probably make on some of the other issues. Again, nothing major, like little small dialogue changes or, you know, adding a panel, removing a panel kind of things. But issue 2 specifically, I might not change at all. And I wrote this months ago, so while I remember how the story goes, I forget lots of it. It's kind of like seeing a movie and then, well, I guess it's like seeing a movie and then a year or two later seeing it again, which I guess is kind of appropriate, although you'd think since I wrote it I remember it more. But I guess I just was so focused on it at that time, moved on to other things, and now that I'm looking at it again, I was like, almost like a fan of my own work, which sounds very egotistical, but I feel like I'm so down on my art all the time, I could be positive about my writing, at least, because I was reading it on my phone on the plane, and I was like, oh, this is kind of a crummy format to read it, and I said emailed it to myself, and I was gonna put it on the iPad, and I never got around to it. And I had no connection, so I was reading it, and I just kept going, and I was like, oh man, oh, issue 3, I hope that downloaded, and like, I was excited to read what came next. I was enjoying it as a fan of my own work, which again, a lot of people who are artists are fans of their own work, and it's probably healthier. But everything that I guess I should have when I look at my artwork, I feel like I was having when I read my writing. Now, that doesn't mean I'm a great writer. I'm not trying to say like, guys, as bad as I am as an artist, I mean, as good as I am as an artist, I'm an even better writer, nothing like that. What I'm saying is, I was able to appreciate and enjoy it a million times more than my art. Now, that doesn't mean I enjoy writing more. I certainly don't. But the end product, I was less judgmental about. Now, I'd love to think that, wow, I just wrote a masterpiece and everyone's gonna agree with me. But I don't expect that. And I fully expect nobody to care about this comic, you know? If I sell 50, if I sell 100, if I sell 1,000, that's amazing, you know? But if I do more than that, that's an alternate reality. But I kind of always expect failure in these sort of projects, so I won't be disappointed. If anything comes of it, great, but I'm doing it for me. However, again, I'm kind of beating a dead horse a little bit, but I know I'm so negative all the time. I really liked the story. I liked the dialogue, I liked the overarching story, I liked the little scenes within it, I liked the character moments, you know, and I think part of what I like about it so much is that it is the kind of story I'd like to read. It's the kind of characters I would enjoy seeing. And so it's very much the epitome of like, you know, write for yourself, create for yourself. I did that. And I also think I'm easier on myself because I am an artist. I'm a professional artist. I've worked in many different fields, animation, caricature, illustration, comics, as a professional artist. I went to school for art. I went to Joe Kubert for a year, and I've gone to SVA, got a degree in animation. You know, I've interned, I know other artists, I talk to other artists. It's something I think about all the time, and I always feel like with everything I know and everything I've invested in it, I better well be drawing well. Better well be drawing well? Well, good. But writing is not something I've ever really aspired to. I mean, like all comic creators and like all artists, I've, you know, created characters and written a few pages here and there, but I was always in service of just having something to draw. And while I did go to college, you know, I had a creative writing class once, an English class, but these years ago, and I never took it terribly seriously. So I think, you know, I'm feeling like I have a little bit of, I'm a bit of a storyteller verbally, and I'm trying to channel that into my writing, which doesn't equal great writing, but it equals writing that I enjoy and I'm satisfied with way less work than I have to put into my art. And again, when people read it, they might be like, oh man, he just really can't tell what a bad writer he is. But you know what, that's fine, because I'm so unhappy as an artist if I'm a blissfully ignorant writer. The way I look at the artist, I'm like, you're terrible, how do you think you're good? And they're like, I'm so happy, you know. And it's like, well, you know, you're lazy and terrible, but you're happy. Maybe that's me as a writer. So anyway, I was gonna say, I'm finally saying something positive, but I'm still putting the spin that I might be an ignorant, you know, unself-aware person. But regardless, that's where we're at with that. Whoa, that's bright. Okay. It's Saturday morning, and you can tell by the Tupperware containers and things behind me that I'm going to a convention. Yes, CambleCon. It starts at 10. We're not allowed to load in until 9, actually. I thought it was earlier. It's about 8:20. We're leaving in a few minutes, and that's that. Neither one of us, I think, are super excited. I just got done with that 2-week trip, got back. It's been 2 days. I've been running around playing catch-up, so not the ideal time to have a convention, but it's a short one. It's only 1 day, and it's only 7 hours. So, yes.
For the first time, the small community of Campbell is able to experience a Comic-Con-like convention without the far drive. Fans and guests Saturday had the opportunity to sit down and personally meet important figures in the comic industry, something that bigger conventions do not offer.
That's the end of CambleCon. It was well. It was well. Well. I am in San Jose on the corner of the Alameda. Over here is what is now some sort of smoke pipe shop, but used to be Freebirds, which was a cool burrito place that went out of business and was replaced with a pipe shop. I don't know why. I don't like it. I'm going to start walking now. I am killing time. CambleCon is done. We ordered a pizza, but we couldn't get the app working, so we ended up driving and getting here before we put the order in, so now I have to kill 15 minutes, and rather than sit in the car, I'm walking around because I've been sitting all day. The show was good. It was good. I had done a show called CogsCon a while back, and it was very similar in terms of scale. Although CogsCon had gone on for a few years, and this was the first year for this one, this was much better. It was run well, it was advertised well. You know, they promoted each individual artist on their site at least once, if not more times. They had a good amount of, all the tables were filled with various different types of vendors and artists and things, and it was well attended. Monetarily, I have not counted my money, because as Kenny Rogers says, you don't count your money while sitting at the table, so I did not. However, I can easily guess that I've made more than table and therefore it's profitable, which is a change from the last 2 shows I did, and a nice break from what was starting to look like a slump. Also, there's some good cosplayers. Here's a picture. Right? That's pretty good. I mean, that wasn't everybody. There was also a lot of stormtroopers. There was like the 501st, that kind of deal. And it just had a nice positive vibe. Everybody was in good spirits. I bought a Lando Calrissian Star Wars glass from the guy next to me who had mostly Star Wars stuff he was vending, because while I had that glass, I broke it accidentally recently, so I replaced it, which was nice. He had full sets, but he had a couple extras, and luckily one of the extras was Lando, so that helped me out, because I didn't want to buy a whole full set for my one glass that I was missing. Gotta switch over here. But yeah, good show. I did do one commission, which was fun. It was a guy who gets people to do whatever their favorite character is as a Tron character, like in the Tron universe. He was asking me first without me knowing this, and he's like, what's your favorite thing to draw? And I'm like, I don't know, robots, zombies. He's like, what's your favorite character? I'm like, I don't know, it's like different the day you ask me. He's like, what about today? I'm like, I don't know, like a cyborg Frankenstein maybe? And he's like, And he's like, then he told me the Tron thing. I'm like, yeah, that might not work so great because it's the robot thing, and it was gonna be a black and white pencil drawing, so there's not gonna be a great opportunity to do the glows and things. And he saw, I had a Skeletor print of the Inktober I had done, and while I didn't sell that, a lot of people did comment on it, including this gentleman. He's like, what about Skeletor? I said, great. So he got me to do a full pencil body, and I did actually put a little ink, because I had a white ink pen that I used to put the glow in. I wish I had a red colored pencil or something, but I did Skeletor in the Tron world, modeled mainly after Sark, the villain from the classic Tron movie, which is also the way I did the circuitry. So he's Sarkator. Anyway, here's Sarkator. But in conclusion, the show went well. Gave out a lot of pre-previews of the horror. They gave us coffee, Starbucks coffee, 2 or 3 times throughout the day if we wanted it. Bottles of water, soda, pizza, sandwiches. They were very conscientious about the needs of the exhibitors, yeah, it just was really well done. Free parking, the tables were not that expensive. I recommend doing it. If it stays this high quality, I'll do it every year. And they have another show called Colossal Con, which I got an email to do a couple weeks ago, like, hey, we're doing another one in San Jose. And I was like, well, I don't even know if this one's any good. I'm not going to commit to it, and I've been feeling pretty down about shows. But after this show, yeah, I'll sign up. If it's run by the same people and it's run even half as well, I'll have an enjoyable show, I'll make some money, and I'll get some free coffee. Also, you know, it's always nice when you have people to talk to sitting next to you, and we did have a fun table mate. On the one side, it was sort of a aisle and then the Star Wars guy, but on the other side, it was a gentleman who, it was like his 4th show, he was selling fiction books, and he was there with his mother, who had some old Barbies she was selling. And she was in her 70s, and she was Scottish, and she was awesome. And I really enjoyed talking to her, both of them, but she was a character, and she very much reminded me of my grandmother. A little bit younger and more Scottish and less Hungarian, I guess. I think my grandmother's Hungarian. But she was fun, and she was enjoyable, and helped add to the day. And that is my report on CampbellCon. Now hopefully my pizza will be closer to be getting ready, and I will eat that pizza with gusto. Okay, so it's the next day being Sunday. We're getting ready to go out to do a book signing and a drag show for Q. Not that she's signing the book or being in drag, but these are things that she enjoys that I'm going to attend with her. Anyway, I just wanted to go back to the show yesterday, which was CampbellCon, which again, I can't say enough nice things about. Run well, well attended, did okay with money. You know, I didn't do amazing with money, but I made money, which is more than I can say for the last couple shows. And as I said, they really attended to our needs. But the other thing on top of that particular show is I wanted to talk about the prints I had, because I'm always struggling with, I have a big backlog of prints. I haven't counted. I might have 60 prints. That's just a rough guess. Individual different designs, and some of them are 5, 6 years old that either I don't like the art of anymore, or they're not really relevant, or, you know, the time for that fan base has passed a little bit, and I don't want to throw them away, and sometimes I put them on discount. Like, I have a small book for my 9x12 prints, and in the back I have the clearance section. So this time I wanted to put in 2 new prints of my Skeletor and my Goldar that I'd done for Inktober. Put them in the book, took my least 2 favorite, well, it's like a Venn diagram of my least favorite, those that sell the least, and those are the oldest. So you get like the best combination of those 3, and I pull those out and put them in the clearance section. Also, hopefully I only have 1 or 2 left. If I have like 15 left, it's probably not going to be something I'm getting rid of right away, but most of the time I print, you know, 3, 5, 6, 8 of something to see how well it goes. And only a few prints do I do more, like my Green Ranger, my Ultraman versus Godzilla, things like that, where I've sold, I don't know how many, 30 at this point, 40, 50, you know, so every time I get them printed, I do 10 or 20. But most of my prints I keep very small, so that if they do bomb, I'm only out a couple dollars. And so anyway, I moved some of those to the back. But the other thing is, I display a bunch behind me, and then I have the books that have some that aren't on display, and they're usually, again, my less favorite, the ones that don't sell as well, etc. But every now and then I sell some that surprise me, like even at the, I forget if it was Wizard World or Ape, I sold some that I didn't do well at that show in general, but, you know, one person was interested and bought some original art of like an old print I did, and this time was no exception. Well, this time was an exception in that there was like 3 or 4 pieces that sold that I didn't expect to. One was a Zombie Rainbow Dash, which at one time was fairly popular. It was never a gigantic seller, but I had sold like 3, 5, 6, so I got like 10 more, but then those 10 have sat, and every once in a great while I'll sell one. I sold one. So there's that. That was not as shocking, because that's more an example of one that was somewhat popular and then just died off because My Little Pony wasn't as popular in the mainstream. I understand there's people still into it, but you know what I mean. The other ones that surprised me more is I had a zombie Rick Grimes that I had done a long time ago. And I had done 2 or 3, and it was again where I had sold 1 or 2. Rick Grimes from Walking Dead, by the way. I had sold 1 or 2, and then this last one just hung on forever. I've probably had it at every show for like 2 years, and I don't even display it up anymore. I just have it in the book, and it was my last one, and somebody bought it, and I was like, great, you know. And it's I don't know if it's like somebody just recently got into The Walking Dead or never saw my art style or whatever, you know. But it's always I never quite know why something will sit for so long and then sell. On the flip side, it's stuff like I have all the 8x8 Godzilla and Ultraman prints, which usually I'll sell a few of. Didn't sell a single one. Not a single one. And I'm not like bitter. I mean, I did okay, but it's just weird. Like, oh, that's... And I sold Godzilla vs. Ultraman, and I sold the Godzilla vs. Biollante, so it's like there's a few Godzilla fans there, but not a single one of the small ones. And the other thing I sold, which was the most surprising, was it was a Taylor Swift... it was Taylor Swift as a zombie eating Kanye West at the VMA Music Awards. And that was another one that I had done like 2 or 3 of years ago when it just happened and was relevant. And I wasn't even a big fan of it then. It was something I had been asked to do, and, you know, I just made a couple prints of it for the heck of it. And I sold like 1 back then, maybe 2. I don't even know if I did 2 or 3, but this was my last one, I think. And somebody bought it, and it was like they had looked at it, went away, came back and got it. And it's like, I don't know if they're a Kanye fan, I don't know if they're a Taylor Swift fan, I don't know if they're, you know, a comedy fan, so they like the idea that it's making fun of that event. I don't know if they just like zombies, or I don't know if they just like my art, because as much as I want to give people the 20 questions, I don't. You know, it's like, you're buying it, great, thank you, you know. But there might even been another piece I'm forgetting, but it's just, it feels good to clear out the back stock and make more room for newer things, but it's also it justifies my dragging around boxes of older print designs, because every now and then, sometimes 3 times in one show, somebody wants them. And I don't know that I have a advice or a suggestion here, but it's just one of those things of like, if you have something you think no one wants, eventually somebody might want it. You never know. So it's hard to gauge. And on the flip side, I've probably talked about this before too. I'll do something. Oh, okay. I had I had a new print of the Star Wars stuff, the Ahsoka Tano versus Asajj Ventress. It's brand new. I never had it at a show before. The new movie's coming out. It's a, you know, big 11x17, bright color, you know, lightsaber battle. I was right next to a guy. All he was selling was Star Wars. He was doing good. Didn't sell a single one. Like 1 or 2 people kind of looked at it. I was like, oh, I know that character. I thought I'd sell at least 1 or 2, especially with the movie and being next to him, you know. No, there's no guessing. Oh, I also saw another old one I sold was I had a while back done the Atom, the DC character, as an Indigo Lantern. This was during Blackest Night, which was like, I don't know, 4 years ago now, 5 years ago now, when it was pertinent, and it was just like, I thought it was a fun character, like it was like a weird, obscure character from that storyline, and I'd done a few, and I sold like 1 or 2 back then, and I had this one kicking around forever. Somebody bought it. So it's just interesting. Anyway, I'm gonna go get a book signed and watch some drag queens. Probably gonna have pizza. We had pizza last night. I think we're gonna have pizza again tonight. We can have pizza every night. Guys, if we could just have pizza every night. The world would have pizza every night. I saw Michelle Visage. Well, look, arcade stuff, arcade graffiti. That's the real point here. Yeah. Michelle Visage. It was fabulous. Look, I got a new car. It's a Camaro? It's an old sports car that looks cool. It's not mine. It is not mine.